Well, guys, I know you've seen my video of my red Jeep before here on my channel. This might look a little different than the original red Jeep on my channel. If you're wondering why the fender's bent there and why it's got a yellow windshield and yellow roll bar now, you will have known that I rolled it coming back home one night, late September, coming back home, went over a hill and actually broke the steering gear off the gearbox and had no steering. So I was along for the ride. And she took off where she wanted to, and I ended up flipping over a couple times. Scraped the ground pretty nice with the front hooks there. The winch I got wound out, and it won't wind back in, so I got to take it apart, mess with that, get it wound back up, that sort of deal. But yeah, basic same red Jeep. It runs and drives still. Not that you'd want to for very long. Just because I'll walk you through here real quick. But I don't think in the video, I think all this has been an addition since I did the video, if I'm not mistaken. It's got the Badland Harbor Freight Apex 12,000 winch on. I opted for the steel cable out in Moab. I didn't want it tearing on rocks or anything like that. And I just got a pair of gloves in the door regardless. So I just opted for the steel cable. I can always upgrade it to the wire whenever I want. So I went with that. It's got the fishbone plate and the fishbone off-road bumper. I kind of wanted this. I wish this was a little taller so you could see it from where you're sitting at in the driver's seat. That's kind of why I wanted this. Now I'm kind of not a fan because you can't really see it that much. But yeah, here's where you can see I took some brunt here. It was already rusted out, but she's kind of bent in now. Also added, before we went out to Moab, also added the high lift jack on the hood. I kind of like that. It's got a lock on one side so you can't steal it off. And I don't know if the lights were on there yet. I think the lights were on there. But yeah, it's got the, like I said, yellow windshield, yellow roll bar now. Kept the same centerpieces because they fit still and work still. After the roll, though, I actually also did get a set of hard doors for this. I don't think I made a video after that either. Found this set online in a junkyard just downtown St. Louis. And pretty hefty price for the hard doors, but definitely worth it, especially because it's hard to find with the tan interior panels. Definitely worth it. Love the crank windows versus the half doors. The half doors are neat in the summer when you're just riding with the halves. Personally, though, I hate the top sliders. I wish it was just a zip-down window. That half slider's always leaked and always poured in a bunch of water. So this is where I had a little ham radio mounted to, so I could hear our fire department calls, weather, talk to other people on the trail, whatever, what have you. I also had my CB mounted up there, which I got to switch back out now because I have a different mounting situation that I want to run with that. The reason I have the dash apart here, I put a different ignition in because you could turn the key on, but it wouldn't start the Jeep. The ignition would go on and the fuel pump would run and everything, but you can't start it anymore. So what I'm going to do is just wire in a push button down to my starter. Bypass the whole computer there. It runs just fine, jumping the starter relay as is. Got to readjust my steering wheel after putting the new gearbox in. So, but that's just why this is apart, is because I just got to put a new toggle in there now. Got to, to make the roll bar work, since everything was bent, I had to torch it out, especially because you couldn't get to the screws. So I'm going to weld some bolts facing upwards on the inside. Yeah, it'll be a little taller than factory, but I want to have the strength of welding around the whole bolt instead of cutting it off and just welding the stud there. So what I'll do there is just weld them in, bolt it down on each side. The back holes worked, but the ones down here in the corner that you can't get to were all rusted out and what have you from years of splashing water and stuff up in there. Because I am running no carpet to be able to wash out the interior real easy. You can see here where the body took some damage. These plates of steel here kind of, there's a big gap under here now, and it bashed into this plate here, which actually probably saved a big part of the body on this because these are 1/4 inch real heavy steel plates all the way around. You can see back here too, took a big hit back here, dented in where the top fits in. Obviously, this side jammed into the back door right there, and the back door will no longer open. But not the end of the world. Also took out the tail light there. It still works. Bulb still works. Everything works about it. So I'll probably just tape it back together. In case it ends up bouncing into another tree, then I'll just get a new one from there on out. But for as far as the frame goes, I'll show you on the other side. The frame is bent on the other side. Not too terrible though. It drives okay still. So what I plan to do is grind it down real good, heat it up, bend it out to the best I can, and then plate over the top of it, you know, far back, and gusset the front axle and all. I'll show you that here, a couple steps for that. But I just wanted to point out back here in the back too, these coil spring brackets at the top of the frame where they mount or where they rest at on the TJ. Notorious spot for rusting out, so I got some Barnes 4-wheel drive new coil spring buckets for the top to, because that one's rusted out completely. It's just resting on the frame there. And I don't know if you can see from me standing back here, but this corner of the bumper over here sits about 3 inches lower than the corner over there. So it's got some tweakage that needs to go on here in the back region. Nothing I can't fix. I do have the tire carrier. That was fine. I just took it off for sake of being able to work around it for now. This side's not as bad rusted out with the coil spring bracket, but I figure I got them. Might as well do them. That way I know they're not going to break. Same thing with the body on this side. It's got a gap here. Not as bad as the other side, but you can definitely tell it's got a gap here. Here's another view of the hard doors I got on it. So this thing did actually complete fins and things in Moab. Not a huge deal. I know. I wanted to do more, but had limited time, and we did what we can, and it made it just fine. So I'll go ahead and show you the frame here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that down there. Right at this hole here, it's bashed in right there and squeezed back. Probably a good inch or so, half inch. And here's another view also. I'll try to zoom in here for you of the coil spring brackets. Or the, sorry, not the coil spring brackets, the control arm brackets on the lowers, both sides. It pretty much sheared off. Still been able to drive it okay. I've driven it a handful of times. But I wouldn't want to do it too long just in case one of them ends up snapping off. That wouldn't be too good of a time. But see, this fender didn't take any damage, but something is definitely bent with the front axle. I don't know. The back looks okay. The front is definitely tilted in. You can see where the tire's wearing differently towards the inside. And what I think, now this is a 4-inch Skyjacker lift with 35s, and it's on the stock Dana 35 and Dana 30 with the factory gears in it. No lockers, no special, nothing. So it's nothing real special besides the lift. So the axles on this, on the front and the back's definitely the weak point. Well, plus the frame. I've already had it fixed a handful of times. I know frame swaps are common on these. I've just never had the time or the know-how or the patience to try and do that. But what I think of why the front is bent specifically is the C here. I know they make gussets for this, which I plan to install on this while I have it apart, because I think that's where the problems come in, is the top loop is bent inwards. I won't know that entirely until I get it apart and measured. I wonder if some adjustable ball joints might be able to fix that too, but I'd rather just fix it the right way and heat it up, bend it out, and then gusset it and put it back together. That's same deal for both sides. You can see here, this side's even kind of worse yet. This tire definitely took the brunt of the hit. You can see grass is jammed along the wheel, where the wheel meets the tire on the inside and outside of the rim. But yeah, you can definitely tell she's been twisted, because the hood's in contact with the grill here, but it's got a big gap on this side now. Somehow lost that hood latch. Oh well, not the end of the world. And this tire also jammed all the way back up in here in the fender well panel, and took this piece of plastic rubber shield, whatever you want to call it, with it. So it definitely took a big hit up here in the front. Like I said, it completely sheared the shaft off of the steering gearbox. So it's got a new gearbox and a new pitman arm on it. Just got to get that steering wheel straight. But everything starts right up just fine. It runs just fine. After the roll, it wouldn't get fuel to it. It would start jumping the starter relay. Took the starter out, tested it, make sure all that was good. Put a new ignition in, all that, didn't fix it. What it ended up being fuel-wise, not getting fuel, I dropped the tank. I went and picked up from the same guy. I went and bought the windshield, the roll bar, a new tank, and a new pump, and some odds and ends stuff. Some frame repair pieces I got from him also. Just some odds and ends. But dropped the tank, and turns out it broke the stem off of the factory fuel pump that came with this. So I ended up using the other pump in the other tank and put that in here, and it fired right up just fine, no problem. And I even drove it around town that day. I live in St. Jacob, Illinois, a little tiny town, so I drove it up to the gas station there, put some gas in it, and tested it out, make sure it was going to make it around the block at least, and it drove just fine. Besides being a little bent up there, you can see the tire a little bit better. Just twisted inwards, got that drift camber now. This is probably the worst part of the damage besides the frame and the bent front, because the door won't open anymore. I'll probably get a bottle jack or something on the inside and press this side out. Maybe a 1/4 inch is probably all we need, enough to be able to get this door open, and it'll probably open and latch just fine. But that's the plan. I'm hoping to get it done. There's a car show here locally. This thing always cleaned up nice for me. Besides, what's honestly the worst part about the whole deal is I had the hard top on, and it completely destroyed it. The old roll bar bashed it in good, tore the hard top off, I mean, in a million pieces. I was going 50 miles an hour in it, but I didn't get a scratch or a cut on me, so I guess it did its job pretty well. Held up good. I mean, for rolling it over at 50 miles an hour, you really can't beat the outcome of it. Yes, it's bent a little bit. Now, the reason I didn't claim this on my insurance was because I cannot afford well, to me, it would be a much better deal to rebuild it how I want and be able to use it how I want versus having to pay on my insurance for the next several years and do it. Because total and getting it back to running and driving right now, I'm probably at about $200 or so. So really not a bad deal at all. And the rest is just, time spent on it, on getting her back on the road. But she still drives, she still moves. Wouldn't want to take it very far because of those control arms about to snap. But hey, could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse for sure. But yeah, there'll be more videos of this coming out as I got more time coming up here. I'm calling about a garage tomorrow, so I'll have some more garage space even than this garage here. What I'll probably do is that's a different video for a different time. I got that before this, but after the last video. It's been a while since I uploaded some videos. I'll probably be uploading here a lot more coming up. But yeah, just leave me some comments, some ideas that you may have, or just your thoughts about anything you'd like to see done with this red Jeep, or any ideas that you might have for fixing it, or what have you. I'd be much appreciated. Give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe to my channel, and yeah, there'll be more content coming out on this guy as long as you keep following. So well, I appreciate you taking the time, and thank you guys.